Good morning, video audience. For those who don't know me, I understand myself in the context of an extraterrestrial contactee. My name is Brian Tesson from Portland, Oregon, and I was just in contact with a being who identified himself to me with the name Nerami. I describe Nerami as rather large, and I've noticed apparently there seem to be two Nerami subtypes. There's one that's bipedal, and if this being's bipedal, I've noticed he seems to have like arms, but I haven't seen how he moves. He seems to be able to, I don't want to say levitate, but he seems to be able to float, and I haven't seen if he has legs, that he has any legs. And so this Nerami individual goes by the nickname Big Papa, he said he was called. And that was a nickname he's had around others. Yeah, Big Papa asked me to report on something I experienced this morning. I had an unfortunate experience with the NSA's Blue Moon Group this morning. One of the black monks from the Blue Moon. I was just going in the bathroom this morning. I was just okay. I'm gonna get up. Gotta go do stuff in the bathroom. And just out of nowhere, the black monk from the NSA's Blue Moon Group just started slamming my skull into the wall into the wall of my home. And I just had this horrifying attack from the black monk. And I'm grateful I'm only contused and not concussed from the attack from the black monk from the NSA's Blue Moon Group this morning. And so I would just say I'm certain they'll notice you in Alex Collier's audience. And I requested the Andromedans please put this Blue Moon Group member or this what was told doesn't represent U.S. intelligence at all. That they put him under Andromeda Council arrest in this timeline, in the timeline he's in. There's definitely been an issue with me over the last few months with this kind of behavior from the Black Monks program, where the Black Monk, I was told that they're able to activate as an agent of MK Ultra's Subproject 54, and that contradicts what I was told about that they're not an agent of U.S. intelligence, unfortunately. So I received this contradicting intelligence, and I pass it along to the viewer at the viewer's discretion. And it was an unfortunate experience. And then he slammed my head into something else too. There was the wall, and then there was there's just two areas of the wall. Like the black monk is like this black monk is like this rage-prone bastard, just like this rage-prone bastard. He's done this to me before. It's like you can see it on the walls around my apartment here how he's done this to me before, and it's like he had this problem. It seemed like I can't tell one from the other, to be honest with you. It seemed like he had this problem repeatedly, and Nerami said it would be an error not to, it seemed like to Nerami not to be an error not to comment on it. And they asked me to make a commentary on it. They also asked me to make a commentary about the Michael Sala experience, like immediately preceding this, like immediately prior to the Black Monk attack. Who, when that reminds me, he told me, it's because I can be designated because I can be designated like America's enemies. That I can be designated, I would say, like an enemy. He didn't say use the phrase enemy combatant, but apparently I can be treated like disobedient enemy combatant, not obeying a black monk to talk about America's synthetic telepathy programs, which I felt like I had a moral responsibility to do after being treated like a slave or indentured servant in one of those programs. And if that's one of America's official programs hiding behind our flag and they want to call it America's most patriotic programs where slavery is being conducted, I don't think that's okay. And so that's not in connection with Alex Collier. I did not have I was involved with synthetic telepathy research before I encountered Alex Collier. Was not introduced to it in response to any kind of online communication with Alex Collier. But I had the Blue Moon Group at the NSA respond to an online communication with Alex Collier, and unfortunately they responded in a really unfortunate way. They responded I can't even call this corporal discipline because it wasn't even like the Black Monk gave me a command. See, even in a military context, this couldn't be considered like corporal discipline, where the Black Monk gave me a command after being activated with the unit. That didn't happen. This was just like, fuck you, just like it out of nowhere, fuck you. It wasn't like, hey, you're disobeying a direct order or anything. So, and that's I was going into the right before that. I just had this fuck you from Michael Sala. Its audience, or this was psychic, and it seemed to represent U.S. intelligence. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, immediately prior to this, I had what seemed to be a really unfortunate experience that represented U.S. intelligence. And so, if Michael Sala's audience can't handle, I went to Michael Sala's audience, so there was zero Pleiadian response. I don't know what to do. I had like a Nordic type extraterrestrial, like a Lyran type extraterrestrial contacting me already when it went to Michael Sala's audience. And if there are any Nordic type extraterrestrials in Michael Sala's audience, I'm worried he might not be party to what's going on with transdimensional grid work. I'm worried I was in trouble for talking about transdimensional grid work in like the same video as him, because I just had this experience where it was like, no, there was like four. It really looked like four Navy spirits just jumped out of the world, like, and had like this "fuck you" from the Navy immediately prior to this. Just like fuck you. And I would have described it as a light psychic attack, where I go, okay, well, what's going on here? So I'm worried Dr. Sala doesn't he doesn't understand the transdimensional grid works being employed in his audience, quite possibly, where it's like a detailed picture of an alien speaking to you. And I'm not saying that there aren't real extraterrestrials in his audience. I'd be surprised if there weren't by this juncture in his career. I just don't know where the truth and fiction's mixed there. And so I just for previous videos I did where I said you might also be noticed by the NSA's Blue Moon Group or the Black Monks program, the Blue Moon Group especially, for going in his audience. I mentioned that in a previous video, and I seem to have this immediately prior to the Black Monks attack. I had this just like psychic attack, just like fuck you from the Navy for your commentary about Michael Sala. And so how I feel is basically, if anybody out there has like a synthetic telepathy, has like challenges with synthetic telepathy in the public, you might want to, I don't know. I definitely didn't have anybody from U.S. intelligence in connection with Michael Sala jump out of the woodwork like, hey, Brian, we don't need to know who you are. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself or something? Definitely didn't have, in connection with Michael Sala, anybody in U.S. intelligence jump out of the woodwork and go, hey, Brian, I'm from U.S. intelligence. I don't need to know who you are. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? In response to any kind of messages to Michael Sala on social media, or I think one of the extraterrestrials might have asked me to write an email message in the past. Yeah, I'm not allowed to email him anymore. By one of these extraterrestrials just going, no, there's something there's something going on there. We can't have you contact him right now. It wasn't like Nerami's edict for me, where Nerami said you can't go there right now. And I think Nerami would allow me to look at his content. And I think Nerami allows me to post on my own Facebook page about his content, but not to go in his information domain. And so, unfortunately, the experience I had this morning is going to redouble, because the Black Monks program, to be fair, it's true. The Black Monks program and the Blue Moon could be activate worldwide, is my understanding. So, and the good news was Nerami said this Black Monk can go into Nerami submission for this kind of behavior, that he can actually be forced to submit to the will of Nerami, one of the Lyran type extraterrestrials who contacts me, like a Nordic type extraterrestrial, the called Pleiadians, said that the Black Monk can have, that was asked to submit to the will of Lyran Council, and that to engage in this kind of behavior, it might possibly be attacked itself. And so Nerami requested I have like a brief incident report about this, because there seems to be a real problem in the NSA's Black Monks program with the Blue Moon Group. Sorry about this timeline. It seems to be active in several timelines. With several timelines active with a person, it can be a confusing experience. So I requested one of the Andromedans, put them under Andromeda. So the behavior didn't continue after it was originally confronted. It's like the behavior stopped pretty quickly, though this has been like an off and on problem for months here with this Black Monk, where I go, I'm just grateful to be alive. I'm just grateful he's, because it's just really. And so I think that's just it. So it basically that's the commentary I was asked to provide, and I think that is true to my recollection. What I said in this video is true to my recollection. I don't think I'm going to do a take two on this one. I think I'm going to just let this one out the door and go. Was there anything further you think I should add, Nerami? All right, thanks, Nerami. Thanks for offering to put this one in Nerami submission. Thank you, Lyrans, for trying to help me get the Black Monk under control. And just thank you for that. I just want to help get the Black Monk under control. Oh, Arcturians, yes. There's another being who contacts me who goes by Arcturian in some audiences, and I've noticed online there's competing information about beings who are called Arcturian. There's one audience with information with beings who called Arcturian that looks like more like what I would call a Syrian. It's these peaceful beings that are like Syrians, look like giant chains, and the other with beings who have identified themselves with the star of Arcturus, who look like something out of Hindu mythology, like or Krishna is what I was referring to. And there's like a blue-skinned human who seems peaceful toward me. They seem very telepathic. I don't think they're annoyed by me talking in front of them, and they also mentioned that they're allowed to interfere with interfere with the black monk when it has this kind of behavior toward me. And so I hope people, and there's a mantis being who contacts me, mantis aquatic hybrid, who responded in my contacts to Ileana, who was kind of had a link to in the description, and he said or rather communicated telepathically that the black monk was avoidant of the mantis aquatic hybrid, that the black monk would, in the timeline of space-time, would retreat and avoid them exactly the same as Andromeda's reported to me, is that Andromeda's would approach the black monk when it had this kind of behavior, and it would avoid or retreat, and that might have the help of another ET alliance. And so I think I mentioned that in a previous video, and that's worth reiterating because that intelligence has been reiterated to me. And so I just want to pass this intelligence along. I was asked to release this intelligence publicly. And so thank you, video audience. Thanks for being there for me, video audience.